Hey, welcome back to Getting to Know Linux. We're looking at Linux Mint 19.2 today. So Linux Mint 19.2. We're going to pop into the bash settings. This is the same virtual machine we were using in the first few videos in this series. So if you have not done that yet, go ahead and flip back through those videos or just create a new Mint 19.2 virtual machine and start from there. Does not matter. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's pop over here and we've got our Linux Mint desktop. We're going to open a terminal. So we can click the terminal there, or you hit Control-Alt-T to bring up the terminal. So we have that up on our screen. I'm going to increase the font size a little bit. So I hit Control-Shift+, and just make that bigger because we will be working in the terminal for a large portion of this video. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for everybody. Now, we've got that there where it's student at workstation, and I have put the bash settings, which you're like, what are bash settings? We'll type cat.bashrc and press enter. And those are your bash settings. That's your personal bash setting right there. Those are all your little options in there. That's your configuration. Well, I went ahead and I put those online, so you can go to Firefox. We can go to Firefox space, and it's pastebin. Let's see. I don't know if this will work. Just doing pastebin.com/raw/ and then it's EMF capital F V capital F H Q D right there. Press enter. And sure enough, it did work. Sweet. So if you'll type that in, and I'll put that in that little link there, I'll put that in the description below. So you'll be able to get to that link. And those are the options we'll be using. So we'll grab this. You can hit Control-A, Control-C to copy, or just right-click and choose copy, however you want to do it. So once we have that copied, let's pop over to back to a terminal window. If you remember, now this is occupied. It's stuck with Firefox. If you remember, we talked about using Control-Shift-N to bring up a new window. So now I've got a new window up, and I can use that window. I'm going to type zxed.bashrc. So xed, that's that little text editor, .bashrc. I'll press enter. Now when I do that, it pops up here. I'm going to expand it out to fit the screen a little bit better. And you can see all the little options that's already got in there. You don't have to have anything in here at all. You can leave this completely blank and it'll be fine. It'll pull it off the etc bash.bashrc file. It won't be a problem at all. But what we're going to do is go to the very end. You'll see that line 117 in my system. I'm going to press enter twice, Control V for paste, and I'm going to paste all of those options in. Now, those are the options that I made, that I rolled out to my classroom, just because I really like these options. We'll walk through that really fast. So up here, the first thing we have is it tries to change your ownership for any files that are in your home directory. So if you've got a file inside of your own home directory, it tries to chown those. It tries to change the ownership to you and your particular group. So it tries to change them to you. And it shows you what files it did change. Next, we got the ls-lh color group directories first. It is not going to show you hidden files when you type ll. It is going to show color when you grep something. So it's going to show you the output in color. It's going to tell you how long find took to find something. It's going to be this -I is interactive on the move. So if you try to move something, it's going to pop up a prompt and say, are you sure? Same with the copy. VI will always start Vim because we don't want to use VI. We want to use Vim. And I'll get over to just the 3 things you need to know in VI in just a second. When you log out, it checks your permissions, and then it writes your history to a history.save file. Now, yes, it does save your history by default, but I found this extremely unreliable on actually saving your history there. So what we do is write the history to a .history.save file. It gets huge. It could be, let's see how big the one on my system is right now. Wow, mine's only about 20 meg right now, and that's because I just built this system a while back. So 200 meg, 300 meg, not unusual, but you'll get all of your history in there, so you'll be able to go back and always look at that. we're adding the letter X. That's lowercase x, not a capital X, because capital X is actually for an X server. The lowercase x is going to be an exit command, so that'll pop us out. That slash in front of the exit means that it will not interpret the alias exit. It will actually do exit. We have some, anytime we do apt-get, it's going to do a sudo apt-get for us. Anytime we do a dpkg, it's going to do a sudo dpackage. Aptitude, same thing. Screen, it's going to do the logging with our screen if we install that application. The dd is going to give us a progress, and nmap is always going to show us open ports. Down here, we took from Parrot OS, very similar to Parrot OS, a prompt there. So let's go ahead and save this. To save it, Control S to save. Or you can go up and you can use the little icons up here where it says Save Current File. You can choose that and you can close it there. Now when I close that, we can see that we got VI and Vim. When we talk about VI, there are only 3 things you need to know in VI. That's I if you want to start typing. Don't type until you press the letter I. Escape when you're done typing and you want to go over and get out without writing. You type :Q exclamation. Or if you want to get out and write things, it's :WQ. So Q is quit, exclamation is don't write, W is write and quit. So we'll get to VI and Vim in just a second. We've actually got to install it first. So let's go through and do our installation. So we copied our bash settings over with Z. We can close out the Firefox now, so we don't need that over here anymore. We can close that. We can close this other window, the one we're in right now. We can close that, and we can type clear to clear that window. And the only reason I'm doing that, takes the clutter off the desktop, and we can see what we're doing. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do an apt, and you're going to see an error pop up on the screen. Apt-get install, and I'm going to grab Vim. Press enter. It says, hey, can't open the log file. Some people will stop right here. More people than you would imagine will stop right here and say, could not open log file, and they'll go, oh my goodness, something's broken. Well, just read a little bit further. Permission denied. Unable to acquire dpackage front end. Are you root? That is very revealing. So over there, you'll need to sudo this. Now, whenever you sudo something, that's super user do, and press enter, it's going to ask you for your password. So you'll type your password in. It'll say, hey, do you want to do it? You'll say yes. For those of you who want to get rid of the password and you are so tired of typing password, whatever your password is, every time you sudo something, I'll show you how to do that too, and remove the Sudoers password. If somebody has physical access to your box, the chances that your password is going to prevent them from doing something are pretty slim, that you left your system out in the desert somewhere and unlocked. So let's go ahead and do a sudo vim etc sudoers. Now it's going to say, oh no, you shouldn't use that. You should use vi sudo. Yeah, I'm like, sure. So I'm going to go down to sudo right here, and I'm using vi now. So inside of vi, I'll go right there to that blank space, press the letter I, and it says warning, changing a read-only file. I'm going to type no pass wd : and all, and I need to put a space in there. There. You can't use your mouse in here. You need to use your arrow keys, okay? So arrow up, arrow left and right, whatever. So I'm going to give you just a second to look at that. And then we'll move on. So on that whole thing where you're doing this, it says you can't make any change because it is it's a read-only file. We're going to hit escape : WQ, except we're going to press exclamation point at the end and overwrite that file. So now we've made that change. Now whenever you type sudo, so if you open a new window, you'll notice that we get all these cool settings. This now new interface here, that comes up with new windows. To get out of it, I type X. It's going to go through and try to write my history there. And this, if I want to apt-get something, I'll go ahead and do this again. And I'll say apt-get install calce and press enter. It went ahead and it sudoed the command for me so I didn't have to worry about it. So there you go. There's just a couple of bash settings for you, making that a little bit easier. Now the last thing we're going to do, this one's a little dangerous, a little bit complex, is we are going to change the way our system boots. When you type ifconfig, and that's going to be for interfaces. Yeah, some people are going to say, like, you want to do IP adder. IP adder is a cluttered view, and there's just no reason for it. People say, oh, there are reasons. No, there are not. There's just no reason for, after 30 years of using a certain method, to switch to a new method that doesn't give you, it doesn't even give you all of the same options as the other did. So I am big on using ifconfig, and when you pop back and forth between FreeBSD systems, or you're going into a consulting gig and they've got old Unix systems, you're going to find, oh no, I should have taken some time to learn ifconfig commands. The new IP adder stuff is really a waste of time. And that's my humble opinion. Okay, so let's go on. We got the ENP0S3. Well, I want all the systems in my enterprise to have the same interface. I don't want everybody having to play with this. When you plug in a wireless interface at DEF CON or wherever you might be, I don't want you to plug in the wireless interface and that thing come up with this name that's like 14 characters long. That stinks. We want to have interfaces that are easily recognizable. ETH0, WLAN 0. We'll say MON or WLAN 0 MON. Things like that. WLAN 1 for the first one, WLAN 2 for the second one. Those mean 0, 1, 2. That'll be actually the second one and the third one. But that right there makes it really easy. So we're going to change a file to make that happen. So we're going to type sudo vi etc default grub. So sudo vi etc default grub. I'm using vi. You need to get used to using vi. It is your friend. It will be your friend. So we're going to go through here. I'm going to arrow over. So as you can see, as I arrow through these menus here, it is not something that that you have to worry about when using Vim. When you're not using Vim, if you're using straight VI, then it's going to be going nuts. You'll have like the letter A printed all over your screen. You'll have a bunch of other things coming up on your screen. It's just not going to be a happy world. So right here under this grub command line underscore Linux, right there, press the letter I, net.if names equals 0. Leave it on the screen there for a second. Net.if names equals 0. Okay, escape :WQ for write and quit, and press enter. So that was escape :WQ for write and quit. Now we've changed that file. This update grub has to be run as root sudo. Sudo update grub has to be run after you change that file. So we'll run that file. It'll go through, find our changes, incorporate those into the boot. Now we can reboot. If you encountered an error during any of your VI options, go ahead and use XED until you get used to VI. I don't encourage the use of Nano. It's not one of the pre-existing solutions you'll find in the other Unices. Now, of course, you will find it more and more these days, but I say that. I should say that these days as in 5 years ago. Now it's starting to die out again, and people are starting to use Vim again. But, you know, things come and go. VI seems to always be there. So as you're looking at that, if you need to use Z, then use Z, and you can use that etc default grub. Don't forget, you will have to sudo that when you go into it, and it's going to let you know that you're using elevated privileges, and you go make that change right there. After you're done, then you need to go through, save it of course. After you're done, go through and do that sudo update grub, and then reboot. Now I'm going to type reboot. I'm not sudoing the reboot or anything else. I'm just telling it to reboot, and that's because I'm the only user there in the box, and it's my box. I'm good to go. So I'm administrator. Now this thing's booting up. If I want to see some error messages or anything else that might be on my system, I just click escape while the splash screen is up, and I can watch the services start. I like watching the services start instead of just watching that little mint leaf and little dots go across, because that way you can actually see kind of what's going on in the box. All right, so now it's creating my desktop. It's building it out, reading it from my USB drive that I've mounted over in the virtual machines directory on my local system. And and once this thing comes up, we're going to look at our interfaces. Yours is probably already restarted. Mine is mounted. There we go. So we got that. I don't want you to show that to me every time we start up. Thank you. Go away. Yes, I know. We'll need to update some drivers. Let's go over to terminal. Inside of the terminal, right here, I'm going to type ifconfig. Now what you'll notice when I type ifconfig, I have ETH0 there. So if I want to change my MAC address, ifconfig, let's say ETH0 HW hardware address, and you can say beef. I can't remember what they used to say. We used to beef cafe as something, but there was something else. Beef cafe. I cannot remember what it used to be. You can do something like that. It's currently being used, and I'm not root, but you know, give it a shot anyway. And oh, hardware address, hardware ether. There, click. So right there, that was a mixture between the IP, the ones I just told you. No, we don't use IP command. That was a mixture between IP adder commands and the ifconfig. It is good to know the IP commands, so do know those just in case you walk up to a system and you can't do an apt get and install the ifconfig commands, the network commands. But there you go, ifconfig. Now I go over here and I look at the ifconfig, and if we look at my my MAC address on here, I did not bring it down and bring it up, so I don't know if we'll see any change on there. Even without bringing it down and bringing it up, look at that. So we do have that new MAC address that's on my system. If you can't see that, I'll increase the font there. And that's just using some of the ifconfig commands. Makes it really easy. Now if I plug in a wireless interface, it will come up as WLAN 0, which makes anything, if you're going to do a arrow dump NG and you want to do like a WLAN 0, you can. If you're doing a Wi-Fi and you're doing WLAN 0, then it's just really easy. Hope this video has been helpful and not a little too complex. I do want to get you over to VI as much as possible, but if it's really pushing you a little too far right now, feel free to use the text editor. Just don't forget to sudo the text editor for the files you need to change. Same with the VI. Don't forget to use Vim, because VI is a nightmare when you're starting to navigate through things. It takes its own special set of commands. Hope this is helpful, and look forward to talking to you another time.